soy Teresita Blanco de Artsy Sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Nalini. This is chapter 12, part 1, and this is like the last chapter, so buckle up. In a supplicant tone she said, "Oh, Nalini, you have come. Be a dear and call off your troops. Hello there, to you as well. To you as well, other Nalini," said in a green tone. Again the crowd parted, making room for Grimir. Smiling, he said, "Why am I not surprised to see you here? Give your brother my Duke my regards, by the way. Since I've been looking out for us ever since he did us the pleasure of getting rid of birds. God bless.
Okay, it's fine, I'm sorry.
I'll tell him you said hi," I said, musing a little. Bowing, he said, "How may we serve you, Nalini?" The other elves imitated the gesture that was more of a mockery than an actual reverence. The veiled figure said, "Oh, please, Nalini, we beseech you. Stop this madness and let us become one society again." Yeah, and Grimir also said, "Yes, Nalini, we implore your forgiveness." And the others imitated the gesture. And carefully measuring my words, I said, "I will return them if they want to return to you. They are not hostages. They are not hostages. They are in my camp out of their own free will." I saw Grimir rubbing his right hand thumb against his index finger, and based on recent observation, he did this whenever he was thinking or plotting. Measuring his word, he said, "Tell the children to return. They are not like you, and they need our guidance in order to survive. You have parents, don't you? So you must understand." Canon left my head and took on the form of a human clad in a black armor, designed after a puma and a bat. He too had realized that something seriously horrible was about to happen, and he said with me in telepathy, "And Grimir and that maiden are scheming something. If you leave those brats with them, they shall be done for." I know, I responded with telepathy. Some people never learn, and seeing us exchange meaningful glances made Grimir uneasy. And the shapeshifter did not inspire him much confidence. He recognized Canon as Bersame's pet immortal sphinx. Again, Grimir, instead of asking, he demanded, "Return what you have stolen for us, or do you wish to become another Bersame?" "I have no intention of imposing my way on you or your people," I said softly. "We merely wish to live in peace." I rode Vaikus back to Nemorenzi, and Canon marched gallantly before me, taking the reins of my silent steed. Grimir followed close behind us, and before leaving the elf camp, he asked, "Will you do as we ask?" "No," I said. "Oh, please, at least do return the smallest children. They need their mothers, and babies lack the intelligence to decide for themselves. Therefore, it will be unreasonable for you to assume that they desire to stay in Nemorensis," he pleaded one last time, and I felt a strong hatred within his heart, and he despised so much having to humiliate himself before him. And at that moment, Grimir's mask finally dropped, and never before had I seen such a cute face twisted into so many hideous lines of undisguised fury. Again, he was like, "Demon, what do you want from us? You say you don't want to impose us, and yet," he said, pointing at me in defiance, and he had his hands closed into a fist at the end of the outburst. I said nothing to him. I made a motion to Vaikus, and we finally departed. And I fear Grimir's anger mounted, and suddenly an icy chill fell over him, and his countenance changed, and he embodied serenity. Grimir had finally come to a decision. He said ominously, "Have it your way." Canon shivered as Grimir went back to the center of his armada, and Vaikus too grew restless, and as the distance grew between us, I began to focus my gaze on Grimir. And much to my notice, he had managed to resist my mental intrusions, and I wondered what new god or deity was lending him strength. And when I reached my troops, they did not inquire about the negotiations. They could tell immediately that they had broken down. And Vaikus shifted his phone and placed me on the ground, and he could feel that a battle was imminent. And my Alphanite said to me, "This is your story, Nalini. You decide how it ends." And I petted the reggae I was carrying, and while petting it, I felt a small rupture on the smooth surface, and my egg would hatch at any moment, and at the worst possible time available, and Alpha 2 noticed and petted the surface. Forgetting the battle, she said, "Is it going to hatch soon?" And Canon took close to examine scene could be a boy or a girl, and while we were distracted, the enemy elves began intoning a song. They sang in the ancient language from back when they had their own country and their own culture. And as the elves intoned their battle song, a light began to shine in the center of the army, and a figure clad in white began to fly, and her hands expanded and became like wings, and her legs fused together into one, becoming one long and scaly tail. And the figure expanded, becoming larger and larger, and it no longer resembled an elf anymore. And behind the white veil, I could hear the faint hissing sound. And from the back part of the veil, there descended pure white peacock feathers. And the tail grew feathers, and the head became more pronounced forward, as if a snake lay hidden behind the veil. And when it opened its mouth, I saw sharp fangs like those of a snake, and from its mouth it emitted a horrible sound, the last of which I had never heard before in my life. And it sounded even worse than Oberon's aria sound, and the noise drowned all sound, erasing all music, and the elves and enemies too imitated that sound before charging forward. And the sound created quite a lot of dissonance, and I took my flute and tried as I may, and it could not rise above the deafening noise created by the creature. And in response, I inverted my flute, and instead I tried to create silence. And the imitation of the monster, Vaikus took on the form of one of those long catfish dragons with long whiskers and mane. He, however, was pitch black like the shadow that he was, and the night was slowly descending upon us, and as the sun fell behind the sacred groves of Nemorensi, the more massive and dark Vaikus became, and he seemed to have become one with the darkness and silence himself, and his silence provided some relief from that horrible, deafening sound. Still, it did not nothing against the marching waves of elves, and to the running they advanced in a diamond formation with the magic users at its center, and from there they were in the midst of casting a huge ball of lightning, almost like round, almost like a cannonball. And I took the flute to my mouth, and I licked my lips, and I played my song, and as I did, I issued my commands to my loyal knights. And before I proceed to each of my loyal knights, and we form our own formation to counter theirs. And as we were now, even with the backup, we were only 2,000 fighting an army that outnumbers 100 to 1. At the time, my troops were just trying to push back the onslaught to keep the enemy from attacking from entering the Morensis. And we had to limit our strength, lest we overspend our resources in a battle that seemed like it may not have any end. And each time we slew an enemy, they would rise up again through some magical force. And Kano had some experience battling the so-called immortal elves, and being a true immortal, he felt no fear of the torrents of spells that reigned over him. And he took to completely obliterating the body of the elves with his fire attack. And if there was no body left, then there was nothing that the elven necromancers could resurrect. And in mimicry of a dragon, he beat his terrible ember, burning the elves' priests and all of the people and all of the elves that they kept resurrecting. And I suddenly, seeing that we were at a stalemate, I changed the tune of my song, and my troops flew back. Started fleeing back into Nemorense, and Cannon took the form of a bat and he flew away, and Grimir used that reaction to lead his army onwards, and my troops fled past me towards Nemorense. As for me, I stayed rooted on the spot, not moving. And the first fool from the front line that raised his warhammer to smash my brain out, and due to the synchronicity and how much in uniform they were fighting, their coordination proved to be their undoing. Time, bro?
5 minutes and 40 seconds.
Grimir realized today that it was a trap, and he yelled, "Don't touch your fool!" And lost in the frenzy of the battle and their supposed victory, the front line failed to hit his warning, and the flank and the back ones too followed the same dusty drills. And little today, Grimir's command reached the one in the front lines, and the entire elven army was swept into my teleportation spell. And since I couldn't defeat it, I just decided to relocate the problem. Only the puppet masters at the center were able to break free and remain. And of the enemy, only the central magical unit of 172 mages and the serpent goddess remained. And those fools in the Habesha had led their entire army to their demise. Figuratively speaking, seeing as though my truthiness wasn't able to slay a single elven enemy. But we did sustain a lot of heavy injuries, but thank God no actual casualties. And since they were trapped inside my area, the enemy army started receiving magical powers from the serpent goddess, and collectively speaking, they could not even amass enough energy to even vocalize, to even teleport themselves out of that problem. And as for the goddess, the fact that she was out there in the open severely limited her powers, and since she was a new deity, she didn't have a domain of her own in order to hide while working her powers from the shadow. Being a new goddess, the other Nalini did not know how to manage her powers yet, and without their followers, blind gods lost all of their awesomeness, and Nalini started deflating after her army of worshippers disappeared. And with the 172 mages, she shrank to the human size of a little feather serpent. And seeing that the battle was lost, she started her annoying dissonance, and by now the darkness had descended over the land, and Vaikus' silence reigned supreme over the sky, and his dark form was visible against the golden Titan moon. Time, bro?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
He casted an ominous shadow over the remaining mage elves, and I got up and started walking towards the remaining mage army. And my small army left the borders of Nemorense, and they were followed by all of the other residents, and they all stood behind me trying to pretend to look somber. I saw the elven Nalini gliding out softly, and she landed in front of me, making quite a dull sound as she landed, and she suppressed her rebellion for and assumed the body of a regular elven woman. And she said in a soothing, snake-like voice, "Well played, girl." Grimir walked forward behind Nalini and said to me, "I shall remember that for the next time we have a little skirmish. Now, will you give me back my army?" "I would if I knew where I sent them," I said, shrugging my shoulder. They also had lost family members to Grimir, tore him and Nalini apart, and it wasn't the ending that I wanted for their pathetic lives, but it was the one they got, and I was distracted from the green face by the sound of a high-pitched crying, and my head hatched without me noticing, and the girls in the Morense were finally at peace again. El time, bro?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
With the baby calm, we entered the sacred groves in Nemorense again, and while walking past the barrier, I was intercepted by Adamus, and he had a baby bag filled with bottles and pacifier and Cuse, and he said, "Your mother left this behind for the critter you hatched," and I took the bag from Adamus and grimaced, and indeed my mother was not done interfering in my life. Still, it felt comforting to know she was watching over me. Time, bro?
2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Sorry. I went with my baby to the center of Nemorensis, and for the rest of the night we spent it celebrating. Things had gone far smoother than we imagined, and we also celebrated the birthday of the child. And with the added noise, Vaikus retreated into a silent cave beneath the center of the tree. And as usual, the elves, Cano and the fairies did not know what to make of the child, and the fact that she was already speaking did not sound too promising, and as a matter of fact, that was what deeply disturbed them, and aside from the minor oddness, the child had the appearance of an elven baby. However, there was something queer about this kid, aside from the fact that she was born from an egg. And during the celebration, Cano's back went under my head, and he asked the obvious questions. "So, are you people born from eggs?" "Everyone's born from eggs, silly," I said after I gave a baby bottle to the kid. "Whether the egg is hosted within or outside the body differs from species to species." "So you are reptile, mammals, an insect?" Cano asked. "That intel is on a need-to-know basis, Cano," I answered, smiling. "You're starting to sound like your brother Marduk," he said. "He is my brother after all, so I can't help it if I sound like him sometimes," I responded after burping the baby. Cano said to himself, "I sometimes wonder," and indeed he was wondering as he gazed into the stars. After a brief pause, he said, "I'm going to leave after a week or so." And the silly back and forth lasted for a bit, and neither of us seemed too inclined to have a meaningful conversation. And a wind passed over the sacred groves over the Nemorense, and with that wind I could smell a faint stench of blood, ash, and flowers, and peace had come at a high price. Alright, so that's the end of Saturnastra Nalini. Bye bye and God bless.